Mrs. Oh, sorry.
I have June. The Board of Education meeting will also be virtual. You may view by internet live stream, http://board.bedfordschools.org or Spectrum Cable TV, channel 1025. If you wish to speak during the audience participation portion of the agenda, please complete the audience participation card online at http://participate.bedfordschools.org. Oral presentations are limited to 3 minutes each. Welcome.
Thank you.
Mrs. Boynton,
Here.
Mr. Kennedy,
Here.
Mrs. Patterson,
Present.
Mr. Stevens,
Here.
and Mr. Tench is absent.
Mr. Tench is under the weather. We stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We have no awards and presentations at this time.
We do not?
Audience participation.
Yes, we have two audience participation.
Okay.
The first one is from Araminta Hunter, and she asked me to, you guys, she would like to know if anyone could explain the reason that fall concessions at the football games go solely to the band program and not divided up like it is for indoor concessions.
I love when these questions come in. All eyes always come to me. So my understanding, I guess this, I did look into this. It predates long before I was here. That the tradition has been, from my understanding, I think there's some share in Bebop, but more so it's the PTA Council scholarships, because I sit on PTA Council, and the money that's obtained from there goes to the council, as well as, I believe, among the different schools it's spread out. And counselors get to use, or I'm sorry, principals get to use it at their discretion because they have volunteers. So like one evening it might be Glendale parents, another evening it might be Central parents. And then when they contribute, if they all volunteer on different nights, they get a portion of the proceeds. Mr. Kenny, I see you nodding because I think you probably have some knowledge of this. Is that right?
Mhm.
Okay. So that's how it's been customarily done. I know Ms. Duncan has, my understanding again, has been in charge of that for many, many years and has stepped down this year. So I don't know if maybe that's prompting the question or, to re-examine it. I mean, I'd be glad to look into it, but that's my understanding of how it's distributed.
It's my understanding also, so.
So you're saying we're going to be trying to look into it differently?
I can just, I probably will talk. I know Mr. Zofka doesn't have a lot to do with it. Typically in other districts, it's run by athletic boosters, and we don't have boosters. And I know when I arrived here too, that was one of the first questions I said, where's our boosters? And we didn't have one. So we never could get one together, but that would be ideal if we had a booster, that could run the concessions, then we could divide it up. Because the winter sports, basketball, that does get divided up among the various sports. So that's another thing that we could adopt here as well, that we, but I know that PTA also, council has relied on that money for scholarships for our students. So it's probably a little sticky on a number of fronts. They're trying to sort through that.
Okay. Second question.
Miss Carla Gazzo would like me to call her to address some comments that were made at the June 3rd board meeting. So I will call her now.
Hello?
Hello, Miss Gazzo.
Yes.
You are on with the Bedford Board of Education. We just asked that if you are watching the internet live stream to please mute your audio so we do not have any delay, but the floor is now yours.
Thank you very much. Good evening, everyone. I wanted to address some comments that were made in the June 3rd board meeting. Once again, the dress code is a conversation. as most of you can remember, I was one of the parents that sat in the boardroom with you all to get the approval to change the dress code for the high school. I was happy to see that when the students returned back from COVID, that the dress code was relaxed for everyone. In my opinion, it should stay that way for K through 12. There was a comment made saying that we, the parents, need to use, quote, common sense and logic when it comes to uniforms, and that uniforms are inexpensive. First of all, that was a very demeaning comment to the parents of this community. Also, when you have multiple children in the district that have to not only buy uniforms, but also have after school and weekend clothes to buy, that truly adds up. It was also stated that we should not just buy Abercrombie and Fitch. Again, this was a marginalization of the people of this community and very disappointing to hear. You talk about dress for success. A uniform does not define our kids' success. There is no statistical information to support that dress code contributes to the success of the students and schools. And if there is, that should definitely be shared with the community. Let's just get the kids back into school. After 3 years of talking about the dress code, can we please start to talk more about bringing CTE programs in-house and increasing our AP scores? Thank you.
All right, is that the end of our audience participation?
Yes, that is the end of the audience participation.
Thank you very much. Moving right along, the consent agenda. Did you get your question? Okay. All right. Ms. Boynton had a question for Dr. Johnson about the consent agenda.
And I'm so sorry I didn't get a chance to get in touch with you today. But I do have a question in regards to the tutors. And I noticed that we're hiring nine for board approval tonight, and 5 are slated for Glendale, and 1 for Carrollwood Central, and 2 for Heskett. I just wanted to know, was those designations data-driven, or how did you decide the number that was going to each school?
Based upon actually the data and the number, thank you. Good evening. Based upon actually the data we, and trying to close the gaps after COVID, we actually probably could use more. But actually there are allotted based on the budget so far. We are slated 4 per building, the title buildings. So what you see here is just we go in to get a jump start on the best candidates. So you'll see more coming, but each building, we're starting out with 4. We want to make sure, at the beginning of the year, we do our data assessment to kind of see where the kids are and things like that. But you might see a couple more in this building than that building because it is data driven, so it's not like, up there, you get a slice, you get a slice, you get a slice, but we're really looking at the data. So yeah, it's more about equity than equality. So you'll see some more coming, but we're going to start out with 4 per building.
Yeah, I was just curious because that seemed like that was a large number compared to 1 slated for the other 2 elementary schools. So I just wanted to know if it was data driven. And also, you answered my other question was, what would be hiring additional, hire the principals?
You'll see a lot more
concerned
coming.
about that.
We're excited about the candidates that we have actually. Title I.
Gotcha.
Mhm.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Great, thank you.
And any other questions? I need a motion for 4.01, the consent agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Mr. Kennedy, second by Mrs. Boynton. Any other questions? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Mr. Kennedy?
Aye.
Mrs. Boynton?
Aye.
Mr. Stevens?
Aye.
Mrs. Patterson?
Aye. 4-0. Thank you, board. Superintendent's report.
Thank you, Mrs. Patterson. Good evening, board, and those of you in our audience. Before I say just a couple remarks, I was going to ask Dr. Johnson if you'd like to introduce a couple of people that are here this evening. Is that okay?
I'm
Okay.
sorry about
Read my
that.
mind.
Yes. We have some new hires that are in the audience. So
Thank you. And I hope it's okay that we start having them come a little bit at a time. We knew that the space was limited. So we'll have more coming, throughout the summer. And then probably the bulk in August. We can go a little bit larger, hopefully. I'm being optimistic. But this evening I'll start out, and if you could maybe give a wave or stand. We first have Mr. Foster. Mr. Foster is a graduate of Mount Union. He will be serving as a middle school ELA teacher at Heskett. He's previously worked, I don't know, I'm hard to say this, Madison, which was where my rivals growing up, in the Mansfield area. He also has been an interest in wrestling and coaching and things like that. So Mr. Zafka and Adam have already kind of swung him in a little bit. So we are pretty excited, about that and the opportunity. We also have Rebecca. Rebecca comes to us as a school counselor. She's worked in Solon, Mayfield, and Norton. Really, really impressed with your experiences and your desire to work in diverse populations. So we look forward to that. She's a graduate. Her undergraduate was at Case, and you went to graduate school at CSU. And in the back, we have Antoine. Antoine is served as a sub in the district, helping out in technology, but he was offered a position to serve as a full-time technician. So we're really thankful for his support through this pandemic. He's done a great job. And also we have John back there as well. We recommended as a help desk. So he's been very, very helpful. You've seen him at the board meeting. So congratulations as well.
All right, very good. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Johnson. Just wanted to mention two other things. We have, moving forward, for those of you who are listening as well, we will be moving to having guests now participate, be able to attend our meetings. The law has expired on that, effective July 1. So we will open up our doors and we'll make accommodations for visitors. And secondly, in response to the bids regarding the gym floor, I had let you know that I thought we would be squeezing in a bid. So the bidding process has ended at noon today, and they went to open up the bids, and there were none to open, which, again, I asked Jerry and Bill, and I think someone else was present. And they said that was the first time that ever happened in 30 years that we've not had any bids. So we had two people walk through and do the pre-bidding, take the specifications, ask questions, but neither submitted a bid. So we will follow up with those two. But Jerry had said that when I asked him, what happens now, Mr. Kennedy, your question, do we get to hire who we want? The answer is no, we have to actually start all over. So this is a little bit of a setback for us because we know the gym floor we need in the fall. And so we have to start over. So that's not good news for us. So that will delay us getting our gym complete. And do you have anything to add to that, Bill? You were in that meeting. I wasn't there.
Other than the representative from the architectural firm TDA, he was going to follow up with the various vendors to find out why they exactly didn't make a bid. All we got were bids for addendums.
Bids for what?
The addendums to the main bid.
The bleachers was one.
Yeah, bleachers. Yeah.
And those came in reasonable, but we can't take that without an alternate bid without your main bid, right?
So we just have not one flooring bid.
No, sir.
Didn't we have something here for Cincinnati flooring? Before?
We did.
Yes.
So what's the problem? What happened to that?
TDA will follow up with Cincinnati, I guess.
There was Cincinnati flooring that I remember seeing, and we talked to that person. He brought a sample
Sure did.
and those type of things. So
That's right.
that doesn't sound right.
Yeah. The only feedback that I received that some were hesitant, they weren't sure what they were getting into. Like, I guess was it the floor? Did you hear this, Bill? That it was,
No, I
they
didn't.
were just not afraid. Some of them were hesitant about what they were going to get into once they reveal.
I tell you now, I've never heard this before,
Yeah.
and something don't seem right to me. So I don't know what it is, why we have to delay this process, but who's the person, who's TDA? Who's
It's the architect firm.
That's gonna,
okay, I know who the architect is because we have TDA, but I want to know who is the representative.
I'll get his business card for you. Jerry will have that information.
Yeah, because we have the same architect over there at our building. I know exactly what TDA does and how they go about doing things, but that doesn't make sense to me that we only have one. I mean, we don't have none. And then we had Cincinnati Flooring to come in to talk to us about it. That doesn't make sense. So I would advise somebody, or I'll take the initiative to look into it myself. So how you want to handle that is totally up to you.
Whatever you can do.
You want me to get a hold of
We
Jerry?
need a gym
Or I'll get a hold
floor.
of, I'll get a hold of TDA tomorrow for you, if you'd like.
Thank you. Keep me posted.
I will. I'll update the whole board.
Okay.
However you want to do the chain of command, so you can reach out to me, however you
You
want to
can reach
do.
out, that's fine, yeah.
I'll reach out.
That's fine. Thank you.
And just the last thing I wanted to mention is that we have summer school underway. So the first day I was there on the first morning, and we had a great turnout, a number of kids. So we have close to 200 students attending. Not all are there full day, but a vast majority of them are. And, a little hectic on the first day, just trying to sort through and get everybody in class. But there were we tried to stay between 10, and the most I saw in a class was like 14, but definitely spaced out. Heskett has big classrooms, and we have a lot of new teachers, as you know, so it's a learning curve for them, but many of them actually do have their licenses. I was talking to many of them as I walked through the halls, and I was there again yesterday, and I've only been there twice in the morning. So I intended to go this afternoon, but ran into some other stuff. So I want to see the afternoon portion when they're doing the enrichment type activities. So, but I've, knock on wood, nothing's been reported, that's been a problem to me so far. So we're happy to do that, but we're serving about 300 elementary students this summer.
Okay, so elementary, you said how many?
We have close to 200 on site. This is what was reported today, and I want to say 100, close to 100 online. So it's around 300 total. That's just elementary, that's not secondary.
Okay, and secondary?
I don't have those numbers, because are we still enrolling? We started. So do you have any information on high school numbers, summer? Yeah, we'll get that.
They were just finished.
Right, yeah. High school's always delayed. We do elementary
Still
well in
coming in.
advance, but they're still waiting on grades to come in, so they don't know if they're taking them or not, taking the courses. So, but we can get you that.
Yeah, they got started, Dr. Salvo, but as you know, sometimes there's a little bit of delay,
Yes.
and that report card comes home, and then
Yeah.
the parents find, so.
So
I'll get that for you tomorrow.
report cards went out when?
It was the end of last week or the beginning of this week, but I can send you the final numbers.
'Cause, I mean, they should, if they went out Friday.
them even without the report card going on?
You,
Mhm.
you can say, yeah, but, these are the failures, but the kids that actually sign up is sometimes different. They might wait.
Well, and the other difference this year and last year is that now it's free. So whereas we were charging a fee in years previous, parents had either trouble coming up with the money, or they want to make sure that their child's going to come because that's an investment, So, but now that it's free, we're offering it to anybody and everybody, everybody's able to attend. So that's a little bit of a difference. So they could have registered earlier, knowing that it's free.
Did you go out over, make a phone call to all the parents about summer school?
A
Okay.
couple have gone out.
Okay.
Multiple.
Yeah.
So the numbers, it's not a low number.
Yeah.
That registered, so I can get the final number.
Are we still, will we still be maintaining 10 in the classroom for online students, or is that different?
No, they can do the online remote, unless there were a couple of kids that were PE and some classes they had to come.
No, I meant the number of children in the classroom.
10, did you say 10 per classroom?
Yes. I
Oh,
wanted to
we're
know if it was the
maintaining that
same.
ratio online.
Yeah.
For online, no.
No,
a little
it's
bit
bigger.
higher.
A little bit
Just
higher.
a little bit higher.
And some of those seniors that needed some classes,
We have a couple in.
have we reached out to them?
I met with one yesterday
Okay.
who showed up. Yeah.
All right, any other questions, board? All right, hearing none, I need to go into executive session.
Before you do that, Ms. Patterson, please, can I just ask, I want to go back to this flooring. Who all was on the bidding process? Who was a part of the bidding process?
Are you meeting this afternoon?
Whoever was getting the bids for the floor, who all was a part of that?
I was only a part of it this afternoon because it's required by statute. So what my duty is on behalf of the Board of Education is to open up the bids and read the bids to the business manager and your representative at TDA. and to anybody present in the audience, which was just one vendor. Beyond that, I had no other role.
So how long was the bidding process open to? From what time?
I will get that information from Jerry. I mean, this afternoon?
No.
Oh, yeah, I can get that information for you.
All right, I need someone to read for executive session.
I make a motion to consider the appointment, employment, dismissal, discipline, promotion, demotion, or compensation of a public employee.
Second.
Has been properly moved by Mr. Kennedy, second by Mr. Stevens. Any questions? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Mr. Kennedy?
Aye.
Mr. Stevens?
Aye.
Mrs. Boynton?
Aye.
Mrs. Patterson?
Aye, 5-4-0. Thank you, board. We are now in the executive session at 6:21.